Expert analysts across the interwebs are predicting what's going to go down in gaming this year. And with the tsunami of love that the Switch has seen since its launch, of course, many of these predictions center around Nintendo's hybrid. And while some, like continued Switch success, increased market share, and big numbers, aren't very surprising, there are a few on this list that blow me away. Remember, these aren't just internet rumor mongers. These aren't forum commenters. These are pros. This is their job. And they're predicting such crazy things as a Nintendo Switch Lite. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Gabe is here. If you're pumped for 2019 and all the awesomeness that Nintendo will bring, make sure to hit that like button. If you enjoy the video, we super appreciate it. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of all this madness. Gabe, we'll get to the Switch Pro, Switch Lite predictions and thoughts in a bit. First off, though, you feel a type of way about Dr. Serkan Toto saying that at least one mega franchise from the big publishers will hit Switch this year.
It's time, right? We want Madden, we want Call of Duty, anything Take-Two would be great, just because I instantly started thinking of Rockstar. One of those coming to Nintendo Switch this year would be a really, really awesome thing, especially because third party is already stepping it up with some day and date stuff with Doom Eternal, Mortal Kombat. We know that those are going to come the exact same day, and Switch needs that in their life. It really, really does. So for me, the one I hope is Madden. What do you think? Would you prefer Call of Duty or Madden? Just very quick. I know that they're completely different, but if you could only have one, which one would you have?
That's a really tough call. And, you know, how you decide what a mega franchise really is pretty subjective. I think Call of Duty out of all of these makes the most sense. We've heard rumored some Rockstar ports being put into practice. I don't know if that actually takes shape. Madden seems like a natural fit. The recent Frostbite engine rumors would line up with that. FIFA has already been there since the beginning, so getting Madden on board, that would be super fun. I'd take either. Both of them will get playtime from me. I think that Call of Duty would probably be the bigger deal. Just aligning that monstrosity with Nintendo and Switch again would feel really good. We've got Michael Pachter, Piers Harding Rolls, Dr. Serkan Toto, and Matt Piscatella from the NPDs all predicting that the Switch will be awesome numerically in 2019. Piers Harding Rolls says it will be the best-selling console in 2019. Matt Piscatella says it'll achieve more than 35% share of hardware unit sales. Dr. Serkan Toto says that there'll be a lot more third-party games starting in spring, which is very exciting. And we see Michael Pachter, Gabe, bringing the heat with a prediction that I think kind of goes counter to what we've heard. We know that there's been heavy rumors and even some factories getting ready for a potential Switch Pro in 2019. It's something we've discussed for months now. But Michael Pachter, famed analyst, beloved analyst, that voice, those glasses, a very likable guy, he says that he thinks Nintendo will launch a fully handheld version of the Switch for $199, and that the Joy-Con would be built into the body, no docking, no TV play, that this would effectively be a cheaper Switch that replaces the 3DS.
And that's exactly the first thing that comes to mind. If this happens, then buy 3DS, because there's no point for that to exist. I mean, if you could sell a 3DS for like $80 or a Switch for $200, you're probably going to go sell the Switch, especially since it's going to be a light version. It's going to be handheld only, no dock. You're probably going to have cheaper materials. Just manufacturing is probably going to cost less. So I think they could do a really good job with that. I personally wouldn't mind this whatsoever. I think that a product like this for Nintendo is so important, just because 3DS, as many as there is out there, it was a gargantuan success. But it's time to start phasing those out and achieve some type of parity with like releases, right? We saw just recently Mario and Luigi's Bowser's Inside Story, right? That's a really fun game. It's on 3DS/2DS. It's not coming to Nintendo Switch, and I kind of want to stop seeing things like that. I don't like that Nintendo fans have to be torn between these two platforms. Why not unify it and just have a Switch that costs less, and it'll be for younger audiences, clearly.
Yeah, my counter to that, though, is it's not going to provide a separate experience. It will still be the Switch experience, just at a cheaper and more confined way. You're not getting like, oh, all of a sudden the 3DS games are going to be on this smaller Switch, or it's some special storage just for it. So I still think they have some some work to do on how they're going to either convert over those studios and those experiences to the Switch, or if there's going to be another device that comes at a later date that maybe has a new gimmick attached to it. But for me, the interesting aspect of this, and just to let you know, Dr. Serkan Toto over here from Kantan Games also echoes this by stating that he thinks there will be a Switch Pro and a Switch Lite in 2019. Now, he doesn't know if the Switch Lite will be a separate idea or if it will just be what happens when the Switch Pro comes out and the current Switch sees a price drop. So keep that in mind. But both are talking about this dual Switch ecosystem. Pactor going a little bit more aggressive. Joy-Con attached to the console, that's fine for player one. But how does this begin to work given that Switch is such a multiplayer-centric machine? Do you just, player one has to use dual Joy-Con no matter what? You know, how does that work when you're talking about connecting more controllers? I'm sure it could still have the same Bluetooth capabilities and the ability to connect Pro controllers and the sort, but it would just be a bit of a weird notion that player one always is dual Joy-Con, and they're holding it. Therefore, multiplayer would be really, really handicapped.
Well, I would imagine that for this light version of the Switch with the Joy-Con attached to the body, I don't know that multiplayer like that would be the focus, right? Maybe you still have the current...
But it's the same game, so
yeah,
it is the
same games, but you know, I know this from experience, right? I have a friend of mine. He has multiple kids. The older one is always playing with the Switch, and the younger one wants to play it, and he's like, no, like, I'm using it. So you get the cheaper one for the other kid, and now you have two other platforms in there, and now instead of like buying one game for the family, you gotta buy two. Like, they've done that before. Like, that's a thing where families buy two of each of everything, and no one wants to pay $200-$300 price points for the Switch, but if it's $200, maybe a little bit less, you know, who knows? But you're right, it doesn't make sense for multiplayer the way it currently works on Nintendo Switch for it to work when it's handheld only, because there's no sharing those Joy-Con if they're not going to be detached, and that's such an awkward thing. Imagine that, Zach. You and I sitting next to each other playing Smash on your Switch, but you holding the Smash, I'm just like, oh, like the Switch, I'm just over your shoulder. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's so strange, and while I like that we are seeing further mention and notion of this Switch Pro, it really does seem like that is going to be a part of our world at some point in this year. This idea of Switch Lite, I'm going to have to side with Serkan Toto on this. I think that moving the original Switch to a lower price point and maybe labeling it Switch Lite is the way to go, and what I would say I think Nintendo does. I think Michael Pactor is a bit off his rocker here, and we definitely want to know what you think in the comments down below, but Nintendo has maintained that flexibility, multiplayer, couch co-op, couch multiplayer, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, that these are the focus and the driving force of the Switch. So to create a product that, as we've mentioned and established, kind of ruins much of that, it just feels very counterintuitive. And I think the accessory haul that they have managed to push on hardcore players by swapping Joy-Con, by having Pro Controllers, by doing all of these different options, it just seems like you would create so much market confusion, and I don't know, to me, why? If it's to get it down $50 cheaper, is that really, you know, what you need to do to... Well, but if we're going to say that a Switch Pro comes out and they drop the Switch Lite, the Switch Current down to $250, is $50 worth flubbing up your entire hybrid motto? It would completely distort the meaning of Switch, and it would no longer be a Switch. It would be just a handheld.
Yeah, but it's not as confusing as you think. Like the Switch Lite, and it seems like you're going off of the fact that the current Switch, the current iteration as we know it, would become the Switch Lite. We're not thinking of the Joy-Con attached. Is that correct?
I'm saying that I think Serkan Toto is on the right track. I think Michael Pactor's prediction / belief thought here, even though he does have a lot of clout and a lot of knowledge in the industry, I think it's completely bonkers. I don't think there's any way that... I mean, they'd have to change the logo. That title screen of the Switch clicking the Joy-Con in would no longer apply.
You don't have to.
I think it is an insane idea to think that they would completely abandon what makes the Switch special just to achieve a lower price point.
No, but it's not abandoning it. It's catering to an audience that maybe is never going to get a $300 Switch. Like, you're catering to younger demographics here, like people with multiple Switch in the family, like stuff like that. I don't think it's completely like betraying the people that already have a Switch. I just think it's trying to bring in more people that otherwise really aren't going to get one.
I don't think it's betraying the current consumer. I think they would be plenty happy with their fully functioning Switch. I think it's just betraying the ideology and the mindset that Nintendo has created. It's been so successful for them across these first 2 years. And if the goal of a Switch Pro is to achieve more depth, more games, more partnerships, more, taking something that removes, and dilutes, it just seems to be going in the wrong direction. It's very shocking to me to see these predictions being made, and Serkan Toto does leave an opening for a Switch Lite being something different as well. I mean, can you see how crazy it would be if we end 2019 with 3 different Switch choices on the shelves?
I don't know if we get 3. I think if the Switch Lite exists, I don't think the Switch Pro exists. Like, that'll be tough. Unless they completely phase out the Switch that currently exists, and then we're stuck with, like, hey, we have, like, the inferior Switch no matter what. Like, we don't have we don't have the really powerful one, and we also don't have, like, the cooler, like, new one. We just have, like, the original. Like, that would be, like, a little bit of a sting for me. Out of the 2, Pro and Lite, I already know your answer. Which one would you prefer exists?
I am 100% Pro. Belief/prediction, I am 99.9% on board with a Switch Pro over a Switch Lite, at least in the way that Pachter describes. A Switch Lite that maybe, is cheaper in some other way, or has some other, I don't even know what you would do, because I think that maintaining the Joy-Con, maintaining the interchangeability, maintaining the multiplayer focus is critical. And to me, I think, honestly, the better business decision is to bring in a Switch Pro that is your premium console experience, price drop the current Switch for people that don't really care about a little bit of graphical priority, and then later on you release another handheld that is specifically targeting a different demographic and specifically creating experiences. Because remember, a Switch Lite, no matter how light it is, it's not getting any different games. So while the games are focused on the Switch Pro and making things to be multiplayer and TV and look really good, this Switch Lite is basically just getting the shaft. It would be getting games that aren't made for it and are poorly experienced on it. I don't know. I think that's not a good move, and not one that we'll have to deal with.
Yeah, hopefully not. But I mean, the games will be fine, just like the games are fine in handheld right now. I don't think that whatever a Switch Lite will be, I don't think it's going to be a worse experience than what we have now. That would be crazy.
Oh, it absolutely would. You sit down with Smash Bros., you can't play it with me. I have to stare over your shoulder.
Yeah, but
and hope that your hands don't obstruct my character.
But if you have your own Switch,
so it is an online I mean, there are options where it works. I just think that given everything Nintendo has said, it would be betraying their entire philosophy. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. I mean, I'm excited to see what they do. I think it'll be, to me, it's a unique situation where a company is super successful and still going to be aggressive and introduce something new. And it feels like everything is pointing towards something new. Can we agree on that? You think something new is coming, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like at this point there's enough smoke, right? This isn't the first time we hear about something like this. Okay, what if it's not a Switch Lite? What if it's like a Switch XL, right? And XL and Pro would be the same thing, I guess. Right? Do we assume that whatever Pro happens, it's going to be like bigger? Because that's the other thing, right? If you don't go smaller, you got to go bigger. I don't think you.
Or is it just the same form factor with better inside?
That's so hard to sell.
It's just tricky to me because those controllers are so specific, and you increase it. I mean, the other thing is Pachter does leave the opening that they would change the naming convention of the console.
That's insane to me. Why?
And see, again, that's why I think this is just a bonkers idea that it has no chance of coming true.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we're going to see regardless. It's going to be an exciting year. 2019 is going to kick off very strong with a new Super Mario Brothers game on Nintendo Switch. And, going forward throughout the rest of the year, at some point, we're going to know what's happening as it gets closer and closer to being realized, probably hypothetically sometime during the fall. We'll know more, and we will, of course, bring it to you. I'm excited to see some change of some kind.
Absolutely. It definitely will be interesting, intriguing, and hopefully there is a whole lot of hoopla later this year. These are the pros. These are their predictions. They are putting their name and their business on the line by telling you that they believe a new Switch is coming your way, plus all of that Switch dominance, which we definitely agree with. And I hope that third-party increase comes true. I hope a major franchise does make waves from the big publishers on Switch. That would be super welcome. Let us know what you think about all of this. A Switch Lite, is that crazy, or could you see it working? What do you feel about the idea of another model coming to market in 2019? Let us know your take in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest and greatest from the Switch and all of the mysterious behind-the-scenes moves that they're making. Hopefully we'll hear about them soon. In the meantime, for myself and Gabe, thanks so much for watching. Fantastic day. SwitchForce